Highgate, a leafy residential suburb, part of the fabric of society for hundreds of years, with buildings dating back to the 1700s, many now gastropubs and tea rooms, and a view of London from Parliament Hill that's unrivalled. Kate Moss, Jude Law, Jamie Oliver all live in Highgate. Karl Marx, George Eliot and Henry Moore all reside in the cemetery. But Highgate is becoming famous for another reason. 10,000 reasons, in fact.
The German has the form. Who's going to get the ring and wins it? Absolutely fabulous. Second Amdouni, third.
The guys are making so much noise on that home straight. You can't even hear what's going on. It's my favourite track race of the year.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and we've come here to the Parliament Hill Athletics track where the now famous night of 10k PBs takes place, and this is the official podcast, supported by British Athletics.
Coming up, as we count down to this unique event on Saturday, July 6th, we'll be hearing from the inspirational organiser, Ben Pochee.
Performance, atmosphere and have fun. And I think the three can all coexist.
British Athletics Major Events Director Cherry Alexander.
If you want to have a beer or a few strawberries and Prosecco, you can do that as well. But best of all, you know, you're cheering on athletes who are trying to fulfil their dreams.
And Head of Endurance Barry Fudge.
It's a mixed team of experience and youth coming through. Part of the reason why we love this event is that we're able to give established athletes a good platform for the year.
There'll be top tips on how to make the most of your day, why you should prepare like a famous Italian tenor, and we'll look ahead to the top runners in each of the big races and hear from one of the previous winners, GB legend Jo Pavey.
This track at Parliament Hill is a Class A site including a 400-metre 8-lane all-weather running track with clean changing rooms and toilets. That's according to TripAdvisor anyway. The 10k PBs was set up to promote distance running at club and national level.
Now, the British Championship will take place here. It's home to the European Cup, where the best of Europe's 25 lappers compete. And in 2019, it's also doubling up as the trials for the World Championships in Doha later on this summer.
But enough from us about it. Let's find out more from the man behind it.
My name is Ben Pochee. I am the race director of Night of the 10,000 metre PBs. We started the event in 2013, essentially with the aim of giving British athletes a platform to run faster times. There were limited opportunities. And then adding to that, I was looking at ways we can add atmosphere to enhance the performance of those athletes. So yeah, added opportunity and extra atmosphere to really allow those guys to achieve.
I have to ask about the name, because I'm confused.
Yeah, well, why go for something simple? In my thinking, the original aim was, how can we almost sell it like a kind of Victorian spectacle? So, come to see the great night of the 10,000 metre PBs, something along those lines. So it was all meant to be a bit tongue-in-cheek, but now the event has grown, and it's I constantly curse its length and how it doesn't really flow off the tongue at all. But yeah, it was all meant to be a bit of a joke and kind of sense of humour about the event, which is what we're trying to have fun with athletics, and especially with 10,000 metre athletics, is performance, atmosphere and have fun, and I think the three can all coexist.
And if I can just kind of describe where we are at the minute, we're stood at the top of Hampstead Heath. We've got this wonderful vista of London, city of London ahead of us. And then this track here in Highgate as well. And you can hear people walking past us at the moment. You've got mums out with their kids. You've got a kids' sports day going on here at the minute. But how do you transform this track into an elite sporting event with that atmosphere that you talk about?
It's another thing I like about the event is the complete juxtaposition of our track. It's the most basic track that you can really imagine. It's a great track, but it has limited facilities, and our event really shows what's possible. We come on the Friday for the setup. We have quite a big build. We've got a fair amount of infrastructure involved in the event now. We've got a bridge that goes to the infield. We've got our lactic tunnels of love. All has to be built and set up. And I think hopefully what it demonstrates is, even in a very simple facility like this, you can host something which completely maybe alters how people feel about athletics, and it's a complete transformation.
One of the things that is all about sport these days is TV viewers, but it seems like this event is actually for the people who attend.
Yeah, I think why not? I think athletics is a smaller sport than football. It has a niche audience, I think, but again, I think what this event's shown is you tap into that audience, albeit the numbers will be smaller, and there's huge amounts of passion, and I think that's what we're trying to show. And so the event was set up for that visceral feel of people on the night, spectators who commit to be there to enjoy it. And for me, that ties in perfectly with what we were trying to create from a performance point of view. Athletes benefiting from enhanced atmosphere, and those two going hand in hand. But I mean, we now do have the BBC streaming it. But yeah, and that I think adds to the viewing energy, really, is thousands of people lining the track in lane 3 or lane 4, really close to the action.
And television coverage, online coverage is clearly important, but as John says, it's about the 8,000, for example, that were here for the event last year. If I can ask you a couple of things you've mentioned. A lactic tunnel of love. You need to explain that to the people listening to the podcast right now. And this idea of this bridge into the infield, and people can literally get involved pretty much. That's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yes, exactly that. Trying to allow spectators to have a much more physical kind of relationship with athletics, get closer to it, feel it, see the runners at real close proximity. So we allow spectators to stand on the edge of lane 3, so you are literally within a feet or two of international athletes whizzing past at kind of breakneck speed. The lactic tunnels of love are 30-metre marquees that we build over the track, and we run the athletes through, and it's all about, again, creating atmosphere. You put a roof over it. It's a large stadium, it's an open stadium. It's easy to dissipate that atmosphere, so you put a roof over it, suddenly you create even more intensity, and again, it's to try and create that energy for the athletes to feed off. So on the back straight and the home straight, we have 30-metre marquees which go right over all the lanes of the track. The athletes are running through it. We got a bar in both of them. The back straight is much more the party end of the lactic tunnel of love, and on the home straight is a bit more feeding into the kind of team commentary and the race commentary, where you can actually hear what's happening if you want to follow kind of blow by blow, lap by lap from the commentators.
Since the event started in 2013, you've added, obviously, the British Championships to it. Yeah. You've added the European Cup to it. Has the standard improved from the British part of it, the idea of it?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the depth, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily purely down to the event, but I think there's an increased willingness for more athletes to now run 10,000 metre on the track. That creates deeper fields. And when you've got deeper fields, you get faster times. So I think it's lured more people to maybe run, take the opportunity of 25 laps. And I think that has definitely pushed up the standard. And, last year from both, we had the most amount of women, I think, for many years that had run sub-33 in one race. And we also had, the first time in about 30 years, we had 3 British men running under 28 minutes for 10k in the British Champs, and that was fantastic. And that was me pinching myself, saying if I could dream what the event would have been in a few years' time, it was that, having these guys pushed by other international athletes to levels that they hadn't reached before.
And just finally, we talk about it as an elite sporting event. Let's look ahead then to the 6th of July, and we're going to have 10,000 people here on the Heath overlooking this wonderful track that we've described. Fantastic spectator experience, but some top-class athletes, some top-class events on the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be globally one of the highest standard 10,000 metre events in the world, which is just unbelievable when we think about it. And so, yeah, you've got the best of British. They're going to be duking it out to decide who goes to the World Champs in Doha. So fantastic. And then you add on top of that, you've got the best athletes in Europe contesting the European Cup. And last year, I think we had 4 or 5 people from our event who made it into the IAAF's top 10 ranked times for the entire year from this event. So you really are seeing the highest standard athletics. The women's event was won in about 31:30, incredible time, and we had Richard Ringer from Germany winning the men's race in 27:30. So these are globally, these are the sorts of times that win World Champs, win Olympics, and that's what people can watch. I'm not sure if you've already said it, but can watch for free. So you can come, you can spectate, you can have this unique experience, and no one's going to take their pound of flesh. This is about people enjoying the event at no money at all. So, yeah, I would love more people to come, people who haven't come before, and experience it, give us their feedback, and hopefully really enjoy it.
So, if you're thinking of coming down, and lots of people do, 5-time world snooker champion Ronnie O'Sullivan is a frequent supporter. We'll get Ben's 10K's top 10 tips for Saturday, July 6th, when the event takes place later.
We'll also hear from athletes who've taken part and look ahead to who's competing this year.
One of the reasons this event is on the up is the support it gets. 8,000 spectators attended in 2018. But now it also has the backing and support from British Athletics, whose responsibilities as a governing body mean it's not just about the success in the men's and women's 100 metres, but every discipline in this amazing sport of track and field.
Hi, I'm Cherry Alexander, Major Events Director for British Athletics, and now I'm Vice President of European Athletics.
The Night of the 10K PB is an event that started in 2013. It's organically grown. Tell us about the involvement and the reasons behind that involvement for British Athletics.
Well, we've been working with Ben for a few years now. We used to have the championships within the British Championships, and, the date never worked very good for the athletes. So, Ben picking up the inclusion of the British Championships has been fantastic. And, it's just moving forward, not looking back. The date works better. And also, because of the success Ben's had with that event, it was then elevated to include the European side of it.
And that must please you with both your hats from a British Athletics point of view, but the fact that this is a European event as well now.
I have to say that's come together really well. Obviously very closely involved with European Athletics beforehand, but, it's really positive that they said, we could have a 2-3 year term with it. So, they've got great confidence in the organiser down there delivering it. And as you know, we had it last year and it was a real success. And I think, the way Ben's delivered it, it just keeps growing. And, the whole spectacle of it and the entertainment that he puts on around it is just transformed, where athletes want to be, endurance athletes want to be and perform.
And you mentioned the spectacle. Those of us that cover the sport quite a lot will remember Alison Dixon in 2013, 25 laps of a track in Birmingham on her own. This event has changed that now, hasn't it? Because this event is aimed at athletes. It's an event athletes want to come and compete in. Is that fair?
It's a very fair point. When I was there when Alison was doing that, we did our best to keep her going. But it's a completely different picture now, what goes on at Highgate. It's just so motivational for the athletes, whatever level they're running at, and all the added value that gets put in there. You've got this whole build-up. You've got the Q&A with past legends. Liz McColgan's coming over this year, which would be fantastic. Before we had Ronnie O'Sullivan, who just loves his running, and he was part of it. We had the president from European Athletics, Sven-Arne Hansen, last year, and that was brilliant. And, you've got Seb Coe, a regular attendee. And I think, just the whole environment that they're running in and the support that they're getting, because throughout the day, there's over 8,000 spectators coming and going. And, you want it to be like that for the athletes. That it makes them step up a gear, when they're performing. So at the minute, it's just going from strength to strength.
And do you think, in general terms, athletics is a sport that needs to innovate, needs to stage slightly different events?
Definitely. It's not always easy. And a number of people will say change is slow. But, I used to put the events on at Crystal Palace, and that was our jewel in the crown. And when I compare that now to what we deliver in the London Stadium, that element has moved on immensely. The event presentation, we've got great teams work on that who are renowned around the world, and events in the UK are really seen in a positive light of how we deliver them and how seriously we take it. But again, that's all preparing a foundation for an athlete to perform. You must never, make that secondary. I think that's always first and foremost. But, it's a new world. Spectator engagement is paramount what you do. And, you need your sport in the top four. And that's, what we're about. But also you want the spectators to have a great family day out. And, we've got shorter programmes to make that happen. And, it's just what you can do without anything negative impacting on the athletes.
And is this part of just a great programme of summer sport as far as British athletics is concerned? British Championships, Birmingham Diamond League, you've got anniversary games you mentioned at the London Stadium. Is this there at that top table?
Definitely. I mean, Highgate's basically kicking us off because it's a bit of a weird year this year because the championships are not till September, October in Doha. And so we're very late with our own events this year. But we've got Highgate first on the 6th of July. We've got the anniversary games, 20th, 21st of July in the London Stadium. and then we'll come on to the British Championships, and we've got the Birmingham Grand Prix before that. So it's back to back in the UK, and then with a very late World Championships later in Doha.
Yeah, in Doha, the World Championships is the main focus of the season, and this is a trial event for that.
Yes, I mean, that's right. So it is a trial event. So, the athletes are putting everything on the line to perform out there where, it won't be cool. Although I have to say it was hot in Highgate last year as well, so that was brilliant. But it absolutely is. It's the real deal.
So what's your final message then to someone listening who's thinking of coming down to Highgate, seeing that track transformed, those wonderful views across London from Hampstead Heath? What is your message to those people who are maybe umming or ahhing about it right now?
They absolutely need to be there. Even if, you're a jogger yourself, you will be so motivated to go out for your run. If you want to have a beer or a few strawberries and Prosecco, you can do that as well. But best of all, you're cheering on athletes who are trying to fulfil their dreams, and that's what they're there for. So you've got your trials, you've got your British Championships, you've got your European element going on. But, you can come down and have a great afternoon into the evening.
Events Director at British Athletics, Cherry Alexander, talking to Michael in Birmingham. Now, once you've competed here in Highgate, you tend to get the bug, apparently, according to many who experienced the unique event. Last year, 2018, Alex Yee, who was just 20 at the time, won the British title ahead of 2017 winner Andy Vernon, after previously being the race pacemaker. Triathletes actually have a good record in the 10k PBs. Beth Potter won it in 2017. Charlotte Arter was last year's winner, setting a PB in the process.
Jo Pavey won the event in 2014. The World, European and Commonwealth Games medalist told us what it was like to compete in Highgate.
The Highgate 10k night is such a fantastic event to compete in. It's so well organised, all the fantastic volunteers do such a great job, and the atmosphere at the event is just absolutely incredible. I mean, the crowd are actually on the outer lanes of the track, which makes the support given to the athletes so loud and so intense, and this gives you such a lift as you run round. The meet also has such a great reputation, so it draws high-class athletes both from the UK and from overseas. And with the competition being really good, obviously it provides a great race. This gives the athletes opportunities to achieve good times and PBs. And as a competitor, just really the whole way the meet is put together makes it so much fun to take part in too. I think we need to keep encouraging 10k racing, as there are not many opportunities in the athletics calendar to run a 10k on the track. 10k is an important event and has so much history. It's also an enjoyable challenge running a 10k on the track. Having so many laps to run really lends itself to being an exciting tactical race. We do need to make sure there are enough opportunities for runners to have a chance to run this distance on a track to gain experience and confidence at the event, so they can really go on to reach their potential and of course enjoy the event too. The atmosphere at the Highgate 10k night definitely differs from a usual long distance track race. It has more of a festival feel. There's entertainment and music going on as well as the actual running. And because the crowd are on the outer lanes of the track, it really does generate that fantastic atmosphere. Also, the unique beer tent that the runners get to run through on every lap is absolutely brilliant. The intense cheers as you run through the tent really do give you a boost. I think another thing that's brilliant about the event is that it's free to spectators, so families can enjoy a great night of athletics, and perhaps children may be inspired to discover a love of running. The whole event definitely has a more friendly, fun and exciting feel to it than a normal average long distance track race. Good luck to all the runners taking part in the Highgate 10k night. Hope you all have a really good run. Also a massive thank you to all the volunteers, the organisers, all the supporters there on the night, and I hope you all have a really successful evening. And to everyone running, go for it, give it your best, and most of all just good luck and enjoy it.
The night of the 10k PBs is getting bigger and bigger every year and relies on an army of volunteers.
Hi, I'm Rob Wilson. I'm Highgate Harriers men's captain. I'm night of the 10,000 metre PBs volunteer coordinator, and I'm head of marketing at event sponsors Soar Running.
Hi, I'm Hannah Viner, and I'm also part of Highgate Harriers, and I'm the programme co-editor for the night of the 10,000 metre PBs.
For me personally, in the early days, it was just a huge kind of badge of honour for us as a club, and I think it's helped put us on the map. So it starts firstly as the club, Highgate Harriers, and what it means to us to host an event and do something differently. And then since then it's kind of branched out a little bit, and it's become kind of more encompassing about the athletics or distance running community in London, the UK, and now Europe, and just kind of being a focal point of that.
It's fun, it's great fun, and everyone wants to be there. I mean, all our friends come down, all people from all other clubs in London, and now, since it's grown so much around the UK, everyone wants to be there and get a real kick out of watching the guys run as well.
Now, we described when we were speaking earlier to Ben, of course, the setting of this track on the Heath, but how do you transform this into an event that is so spectator-friendly, but also an elite sporting event as well?
Where we stood now, looking down on the track, as I just mentioned, it's you look at it and it's just an athletics track. It could be anywhere, and you turn up here on the Friday, the day before the event. Elite athletes from across Europe will come here and they say, "No, surely not. What we must be in the wrong place." So it's a combination of great logistics and the physical presence, but also just that kind of working with the community, working with other clubs, working with volunteer organisations, working with British Athletics, European Athletics, and just keeping that messaging year round, making sure that you're doing something different, exciting, and making it something that people want to be a part of and are proud to be a part of and want to bring their friends along to.
Lots of people have hashtags these days, but the Lane 3 Beer and Cheer hashtag is a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's great. I think people really love the fact that they can stand in lane 3 with a beer in their hand and watch some of the best athletics they're ever going to see in their lives, and it's completely free as well. What could be better?
As volunteers, though, and as runners, would it be a bit daunting having them in lane 3? Is there an issue where sometimes you think, like in the Tour de France, sometimes where you see people kind of leaping out at people?
Luckily, Rob's a great martial coordinator, so everyone knows what they're doing. And we do actually have fencing around the outside, so you can't actually stray onto the track. But really, it's that wall of noise that just gets you going. I've done the event once before in the past, and it's not like anything I've ever done before. It's just cheering the whole way around. It's amazing.
I think it keeps Ben awake at night year round, the thought of a stray football or a dog nipping across and taking out Alex Yee as he bears down the home straight. But I think we've got it pretty good, pretty well dialed down. We're really fortunate that we get volunteer marshals that are athletes themselves and run themselves. They understand the importance, and the crowd are a pretty good bunch, save one or two that have had too many beers.
And Rob, is it important to you to be involved in an event? Athletics, track and field is such a raw event, isn't it? It's who can throw furthest, who can jump furthest, who can run quickest. But is it important to you that the sport is innovating and putting on events like this?
Certainly. I think not only does the sport have to keep attractive to people to come and watch it and spectate, but to participate. And you now see through the year for a lot of guys who are not necessarily even in the elites or the guys in the Euro Cup, but the guys in the B, C, D and E race, which are still in really high levels of competition, to come and run at night at the 10Ks and get that qualifier. It's like it's an extra thing. It's maybe you had things like the Boston Marathon in the past that had that competitive barrier, and having this, I think being able to put something on that people can really, really aspire to, and kind of a notch on their career palmares, I guess. I think that's really important.
Hannah, as the programme editor, can you give us any tips on who we should be looking out for in the big races at the end of the night?
Sure. So there's Ali Dixon is back after, I think it's a 4-year hiatus, and in the meantime she's been to, I think, 2 World Championships, one in the half marathon, one in the marathon, and last year she took a turn in the Q&A with some other stars, and now she's towing the line again, and it's sort of in the early stages of her build up to the 50-kilometre World Championships, so that should be exciting. And someone else who could be quite interesting to look out for is a Spanish runner called Javier Fontada, and he's a V55 runner, and he's actually going for the world record, which I think is 32:15. So it's a hard ask, but he's been training hard, so that's someone else to look out for.
And finally, if people are listening and thinking, I've never been, what was the one thing that you would say, come and experience it for?
Because it's the one athletics event on the calendar that you would be proud to bring your friends along to who normally wouldn't go and watch athletics. You wouldn't be ashamed whatsoever. They'd come down, they'd love it, and they might even think just a tiny bit that distance running could be cool.
As we've been hearing, the night of the 10K PBs, and this is the official preview podcast, is about inspiring runners. And although the focus on the night will be on the track and the Lane 3 beer and cheer, there's also a Q&A session with one of Britain's greatest long-distance runners. I'm talking about Liz McColgan, World 10,000 metres champion, Olympic silver medalist and double Commonwealth Games gold medalist. She's been there and done it. And now the oldest of her 5 children, Ailish, heads up the British team. We'll hear from Liz in our second podcast, when we bring you all the excitement, the thrills and the results from the event itself here in Highgate.
And it's been quite a season for 28-year-old Eilish so far on the track. She ran a 1,500-metre PB in the Diamond League meeting in Morocco, continues to lower her own Scottish record in the 5,000 metres. A 14:47.94 in the Netherlands recently put her third in the all-time UK list. And off it, she was burgled whilst travelling to the Stockholm Diamond League meeting event. She still finished 7th and qualified for the World Championships in Doha. What a message that she's a determined individual on and off the track.
Eilish McColgan is one of 12 in the British Athletics team for the night of 10k PBs, running in the European 10,000 metres Cup, which will be integrated into the A races at Parliament Hill, and also this year acts as the British Championships and trials for the IAAF World Championships in Doha later on this year. No wonder it's a strong lineup. European silver medalist over 5,000 metres in 2018, McColgan, as John has already said, has already qualified for the Worlds in Doha in the 5,000 metres. So we'll be looking for another qualifying mark in the longer distance. Let's find out more about the rest of the British team.
I'm Barry Fudge, and I'm the head of endurance at British Athletics. The night of the 10k for me is more than just the one night event. It's doing something that is trying to push the sport forward in terms of an event. So it's brilliant for our athletes, not only our established athletes, but our developing athletes. It's good for the sport, it's good for Europe, it's good for the world, I think, to have something as unique and novel as this going on in the UK.
And as the head of endurance at British Athletics, what can you tell us about the team that will be coming to Highgate?
Yeah, so it's a mixed team of experience and youth coming through. And as I say, this is part of the reason why we love this event, is that we're able to give established athletes a good platform for the year, but also to start to bring through athletes who are considering moving up to the 10,000 or are just starting out in the 10,000 to running a world-class level race and to have a great experience. Your first 10,000 on the track in that sort of environment, I think, really does inspire people.
And let's just kind of concentrate now on the team. We've got obviously a women's team and a men's team. Who, in terms of the women's team, are the ones that we should be looking out for watching?
So we've got Alice Wright, who ran at the Europeans last year. Had ran our half marathon recently, and I think Alice for us is somebody that we're really interested in watching, seeing how she progresses towards the Worlds and the Olympics in the next 2 years. And there's also a really exciting development of Eilish McColgan moving up to the 10,000 to have a go at that as well. So I think between those two, I think those are the two that we would be looking to push to be on the podium. But then we also have a good group of young developing athletes coming through as well. One of the ones that we were particularly excited about during selection was Sarah Inglis, who we think who can perform well on the day.
Let's talk about the men's team. Again, who should we be watching out for on the night?
Yeah, unfortunately we've had a couple of withdrawals, but we have been able to bring in some good young athletes as well to replace them. But the leading pack, if you like, would be sort of Ben Connor, who's run very well this event before and is beginning to show some really good form on the road. And then we got Nick Gulab, who's stepping up to the 10,000. He's run a good 10,000 on the road and was third behind Mo and Andrew Butchard in the recent 10k road champs. So we're really looking to those two to see what they can do on the track.
And there's a lot up for grabs on the night. There's British titles, there's qualifying marks potentially, there's a European Cup event as well. So just sum it all up for us.
Yeah, I think it's a massive night for everyone who's running, to be honest. As you say, there's been the honour of being the British champion, but there's also getting on a podium at a European Cup level event. And if everything goes well and the weather's great and the pacing's good, we could see some qualifiers for Doha and even Tokyo as well. So I think for all our athletes, it's a great opportunity. Whether they're looking for qualifications or whether they're just looking to progress their running, I think it's a great chance.
And we'll see some Brits on the top of the podium.
Well, let's hope so. And we have picked the teams on the basis that we expect them to be pushing for team medals, but I think there are one or two athletes in there that should be looking for podiums.
And to confirm, the winner and runner-up of the British Championships are guaranteed a place in the World Championships in Doha if they have the qualifying time, and that's 31.50 for the women, 27.40 for the men. From across the channel, German Richard Ringer has confirmed he's returning to Highgate in search of back-to-back victories in the European 10,000 metre Cup. He set his lifetime best of 27:36.52 to win last year and is one of 7 entrants in the men's and women's event from Germany. 2017 winner Antonio Abadia is hoping to improve on his 10th place finish here on Parliament Hill last year. He's one of 12 competing from Spain, including 2015 women's champion Trijas Gebre. Up to 30 nations are expected to take part, and don't forget they'll be competing for the 10K team titles too.
Hopefully here on the official podcast we've whetted your appetite about what a fantastic event we're going to witness on the 6th of July. And for those of you coming down, here's event director Ben Pochee again with his 10K top 10 spectator tips.
Tip number 1.
Prepare like an athlete. Train your vocal cords to optimise your cheering potential. Remember, from the diaphragm, maybe watch a video of Pavarotti.
Tip number 2.
Bring a national flag to cheer one of the 29 nations battling for European Cup glory. And/or bring a club flag to hang over and put over one of the barriers. #OwnYourZone.
Tip number 3.
Plan your cheering vantage point. Lots of options. Top 3 for me would be back straight party with craft ale from Sam Brooks, our brewer. We got unique bridge access. You could be on the infield, being on the inside, cheering out. Or classic home straight with the race commentary team.
Tip number 4.
Think of a killer insightful question to ask 1991 world champion Liz McColgan during our 6 p.m. Q&A session.
Tip number 5.
Consider getting there early and planning your day to maximise your time on beautiful Hampstead Heath. Got a wonderful park run on Hampstead and a whole load of other wonderful things taking place around the area, so you really can make it a full day.
Tip number 6.
Choose your noisemaker carefully. Rattle, cowbells, but cowbells classy, but could you be confused as cheering the Swiss team?
Tip number 7.
Choose maybe the best of 3 transport links. Got wonderful Belsize Park tube station, leafy Hampstead, coffee bars, etc. Gospel Oak, a chance to get on the big boy train. Or Kentish Town tube, wonderful, and residents include Scott Mills, the DJ, Noel Fielding and Cole Marks.
Tip number 8.
Bring your lucky snooker cue and maybe Ronnie O'Sullivan will sign it on the day.
Tip number 9.
Play athlete motivational song bingo. Who can choose the most amount of correct songs as chosen by athletes to be pumping them on down the back straight?
Tip number 10.
Do not forget to bring your ticket money. Oh, hang on. It's all free.
The night of the 10K PBs is on Saturday, July 6th. It's the 7th edition and celebrates 25 lap racing. It's set to be another year to remember. We'll hope you'll join us for some top quality racing on the night. And don't forget, we'll also have the highlights of the event on the 2nd episode of the Night of the 10K PBs podcast, supported by British Athletics.